What is going on, good people? Welcome back to another video. I hope you guys are doing superbly well. As you can see from the title of this video, I'm actually doing a tutorial. That's right, I'm actually doing an FL Studio tutorial in FL Studio. So for those of you guys that watched the last video, I did a vlog type video where I was like just making a beat and going through my daily routine. I just completely forgot about this beat, so I thought why not mix it on camera for you guys, take you through my whole strategy when it comes to mixing. You know, just go through the whole thing from start to finish, and then hopefully you guys can take some things away from it and apply them to your own beats. Okay, so we're gonna dive straight into it. Before we do get into it, I just want to apologize. I can only pull the audio from FL Studio directly through to you guys if I use the primary sound driver, which for those of you guys that use FL Studio know that it's not very good, it's very slow, but I'm gonna have to deal with it, and I'm afraid if you want to learn how to mix, you're gonna have to deal with it for this video. But yeah, I'll try and make it as quickly and sort of like do this as smoothly as possible for you guys. And if you guys want to learn how to actually sell beats, I've got a free ebook that I'm giving away. The link is in the comment and in the description of this video. Sign up. The book will get sent straight to your email address. You just need to confirm your subscription, and then it will be there in your email address for you to read. But anyway, let's dive into the tutorial. Okay, so we're going to kick things off. I can't hear anything. Okay, we're going to kick things off with basically I'm going to assume that you guys have finished the beat, you've structured the beat out, everything's ready to go, you just need to start mixing it. Okay, that's what we're going to sort of kick things off. So get your beat finished, get it all laid out similar to this, and then rejoin me. Okay, so the first thing that I like to do, and a few of you may have heard, well, you probably have heard of the producer May, or M-A-I, that producer. He did a tutorial a little while ago on how to like make your mixes just be super punchy, and you literally go to the master and put a soft clipper on the last insert of the master channel. Okay, it's a stock plugin, it comes with everything on FL Studio, so all you need to do is just throw that on there, and that's the first step. Okay, and basically what that's going to do is just give you a cutoff point at 0 dB, which means that you're not going to have any sounds that are going to go above that, which means you don't clip any of the sounds, which kind of kills the quality of the beat. Okay, so first things first, throw that on there and leave it, don't touch anything. Okay, next thing that I like to do is get everything organized in the mixer. I've done this before several times, but you guys don't know how to do it. Highlight all the sounds in your pattern maker, head over to the mixer channel and right click it and link selected channels starting from this track. That will just drop everything in there for you. Then I like to organize them, so I like to have my melodies together, my drums together, and then the bass and the kick and percussion, and then if I put any sound effects, I'll put those in their own little space as well. So we're going to look here, I've got the melodies already in place. I'm just going to color code those yellow, and that one. And then drums, we've got the hi-hat, oh no, hi-hat green, clap green, that's the drums, that's the 808, that's going to go blue, kick, going to go blue, that's more percussion, that's going to go green, that's more percussion, going to go green. Perfect. Okay, now I just want to organize these. I just like to be organized, but you don't have to do this, but I just advise it. Just organize them so they're all grouped together. So I'm going to pull the 808 and the kick next to the melody, then the percussion like that. And how you do that, you just hold Alt and hit the left or the right arrow. Okay, the next thing that I like to do once I've done that is make subgroups, and I'll explain why in a second. But first of all, you just need to group everything into their own color groups that we've just done here. So basically, just come over to the next empty mixer track, rename it main bus or sub master. Okay. Next one is going to be drums. Next one is going to be the melody. Okay. Now, once you've got those, you need to assign those corresponding sounds to those buses. Okay. So first thing that I like to do is assign everything to the sub master. Okay. Basically, what that means is you're going to send every song in the mixer through to this sub master, and then it's going to go through to the actual master. Okay. And I'll explain why once I've done that. So go ahead and do that. So hover over the first one. Right click, route to this channel only, same again, right click, route to this channel, get that done. Okay, so when we play the beat, okay, that's good, you can see it all going through there, which is what we want. Now the reason why that I put everything into the sub master channel is because if you remember at the beginning we added the soft clipper to the main master, okay? And the reason why I've done that is because if you now play the beat, and if you keep your eye on both the sub master and the master, you'll see that as I raise the volume on the sub master is going to keep going and it's going to clip, whereas the master channel won't, because that soft clipper is on there, and that's the reason why we do it. So watch this. Now as you can see there, I've kind of pushed it above 0 dB on the sub master. Okay, and the reason why I've done that is because the actual master that has a soft clipper on it is going to not let anything go through 0 dB. And basically what it does is it just squishes it together, but the soft clipper is just really good at not making it sound squashed. It's just sort of, it just kind of keeps the dynamics. Can't really explain the whole theory behind it, but it just works. Like, it works so much better than a limiter. So that's what I do first, okay? Okay, now once I've done that, I then make sure that the level on the drums and the melody sub bus are the same as the sub master. So right click, copy value, paste it in there, perfect. Now I'm just going to assign the drums to the drum sub bus, and I'm going to assign the melody to the melody sub bus right now. Okay, so you're just going to go to the first drum, right click, route to this track, 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 route to this track. Oh. Okay, same thing for the melody, route to this track, route to this track. Okay, and just leave the bass because we've already got a sub bus that's, you know, that sub master's only got the bass and the kick running through it right now anyway, so that's fine. Now I go in and start to mix. Now it doesn't matter which order you do this in, you can start mixing the melody, you can start mixing the drums. Personally, I just go off a rule of if you want something to stand out, just mix that first, and that tends to be, you know, sort of a good idea, okay? So normally I go for the drums. I like the drums to be kind of substantial, you know, and just give it a good, you know, crispy sound. So I start with that first. So what I'm going to do first is, honestly, I don't do much to the drums at all. I do most of the work in the sub bus where I affect everything together. But the main thing that I normally do, and the go-to thing that I normally do, is I play with the hi-hat a little bit. So I'm going to select the hi-hat. I'm going to raise the low end. A lot of people say not to do this, but I just feel like it gives it a bit of thickness to it, and then when you add extra elements to it later, it, you know, helps even further. So I'm going to head to the hi-hat and I'm just going to play the drums by themselves. So I'm going to turn this off. Play the drums. Okay, it just gives it a bit of oomph. I think the hi-hats are really prominent, like they need to sound prominent, especially in trap beats and stuff like that. So if you're gonna make them stand out, raise that low end and just sort of bring more of the sound out, okay? So once I've done that, I just add a reverb to it. Reverb 2, you know, free stock plugin. Play around with that. So what I normally do with the reverb is I turn down the low cut, which means there's gonna be no low frequencies in the reverb. Turn the high cut right down, so there's gonna be no high frequencies in the reverb, and then just hit play and start messing around with the decay and the wetness of the reverb. Okay, that sounded good to me, and again, just little adjustments, just those two things. Cut both the low and the high frequencies out of the reverb because it'll just make everything sound muddy, and just sort of work in within the mid section, okay? Now once you've done that and you're happy with it, again, it varies depending on whichever the beat. Some beats will like a hi-hat with a lot of reverb, some of them don't, but once you're happy with it, I kind of just leave it. Honestly, I'll leave it. If there's any percussion that you want to stand out, then maybe add some EQ to it and brighten it up in the mix, but I'm happy with all the drums as they are. Like, the samples by themselves, they've already been tweaked and they've already been played with already, so I don't want to overdo it. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do is add effects to the drums overall. Okay, now this is where things start to sound good. Okay, so first thing that I like to do is play with this little built-in EQ and raise the low end again, just to sort of beefen out the drums. Okay, bit of low end, bit of high end, you know, just to make it sound a bit sharper, and then just to beefen up the low end as well. Then I add this free plugin, it's called Bittersweet, okay? This is basically a transient enhancer. So basically you turn it up, it makes like the top end of each sample in this bus, and it just allows it to cut through the mix a little bit cleaner. Okay, so this is what it looks like, and it's just one knob, and I just literally drag it up just a touch, just to make it a little bit more, you know, sort of crispier and punchier. Okay, a little bit of a difference, but it needs to be subtle because we're going to do a few other things, okay? Next thing that I add onto this is a Camel Crusher. It's a free plugin. Both of these are free. It's basically just got a really nice compressor in there, and it's just easy to use. So first thing I'm going to do is drag everything down to 0, leave the master fully turned up. And all I'm going to do is just slightly bring this compressor up until it starts to get a bit louder and sound a bit thicker. Okay, that is sounding good. Now what you'll notice is when you play the beat without the effects, keep your eye on the dB. So we're at 8 dB there. Turn it on. Okay, we're way higher, so I'm gonna bring the levels back down so they're at the right, you know, we're at the right level. So we need to bring that back down to 8 dB. All good. Okay. Now the last thing that I do is I add a saturation plugin by Waves. You don't have to pay for a saturation plugin. If you do pay for them, it's going to sound better. But if you don't have any budget, I'm talking zero budget, you can get free ones on Plugin Boutique, on, you know, several different websites. Just Google it. There's plenty of, you know, ones that recommend good ones. So, but if you can afford one, I really suggest getting your hand on a good saturation plugin, because that's what I add in next. Again, I use one called Waves, but there are several out there that, you know, are free. So next thing that I do is add this saturation plugin. Again, like, if you can't afford to get this one, you know, I'm assuming most of you don't have this, so I'm just gonna like say exactly what I'm just gonna say what I do with it. But again, you can just transfer these to the plugins that you're working with. Okay. Now, all I'm gonna do is play with this AX mix. I don't want the beat to be any louder. I don't want it to be any quieter. So I'm just gonna leave it at 0 dB, and play with the saturation. Okay. So start at 0. I'm gonna hit play. Yeah, sounding good. If you notice, it's kind of brightened up a little bit, but sort of give it a bit more of a punch, which is what we were looking for. It's coming out a little bit loud again, so I just need to bring that back down to 8 dB. So it came up by a couple of dBs. Okay, perfect. Now we've got the drums done. I'm going to show you before and after. So before, after. Okay, sounds pretty good to me. Again, it sounds a bit louder, a bit crisper, a bit punchier, which is exactly what I was going for, which is all good. Now, the next thing that we do, or that I do next, is either the bass or the melody. Really doesn't matter. I'm just going to do the melody for the tutorial. Now, again, you need to add the melody to the melody sub mix plus. Okay, highlight it. I've already done it. Right. So once you've got those assigned, then you can do the exact same thing that we did to the drums to the melody. Okay, now normally I'd add a few effects to it whilst I'm making the beat, you know, to the individual sounds. Like, as you can see here, I put gross beat, bit of fruity parametric EQ. But in here, I'm just gonna do what I did to the drums onto the melody, and I might add some reverb to it as well. So like I said earlier, I added a bit of sweet. I'm just gonna fast forward this because it's literally exactly the same process. Add the transient enhancer, add the Camel Crusher, add the saturation, and I'll jump to when I add reverb. Okay, cool. I've done that. Now I'm going to add some reverb to the melody. Again, stock plugin, FL Reverb, Fruity Reverb. I'm going to cut the low end. Might not cut as much as the high end as I did with the hi-hats, but I'm going to cut some of the high end and just play with it until it sounds good, okay? So I've cut the low end. Now I'm going to play with some knobs. Just keep your eye on what I'm playing with, okay? Okay, that sounds good to me. Now, what I've noticed with this melody is that the low end's quite muddy, and I don't want that to clash with the 808. So if you've got a melody that's similar to this, and you've got an 808 in the beat, I'd cut the low end out, okay? And the easy way to do that is just add your parametric EQ, click this arrow twice over here, you'll just get these two parameters here, and just drag this knob until the low end's kind of cut out. Okay, perfect. Now I don't want the high end cut out, so I'm gonna disable that so it's fine. So, you know, the high end's just going through as normal, but we've cut off the low end so that there's going to be no sort of nasty frequencies clashing with the 808. Okay, and that's literally all I do to the melody. You may want to add extra effects if you want to, like delays or, you know, fruity chorus or anything like that, but that's mainly all I do for it at the moment. And then the last thing I do is the 808 and the kick. And again, like, I don't do much to them. It's all about sound selection. So for the 808 and the kick, I play with a bit of EQ. I might add some saturation, and that is literally it. If you've got good samples, don't worry about, you know, tweaking stuff too much, okay? So first I'll do the 808. I'm going to solo the 808, and I'm just going to mess around with the EQ a little bit that's built in. See, literally next to nothing, just brought the mids up a little bit just to bring out some more of the harmonics in the bass. Now I'll move on to the kick. Okay, perfect. Like again, tiny adjustments, some of the mid end, some of the low end, just because I wanted a bit more oomph out of that kick. And now what I'm going to do is add some saturation to them both at the same time, just to save CPU, and it doesn't matter if you do this at, on the same bus. So if you remember earlier, we've still got the 808 in the kick assigned to the sub master. So what I'm going to do is add that same saturation plug in to 0, okay? And then I'm just going to play with the knob until it sounds good, and then we are done with that. Okay, just check the levels alright, so turn the effect off. Pretty much spot on with that. And that is literally all I do. That's my whole mixing process. That's taken, what, for me recording this as well, it's taken me about 15 minutes, okay? Now, you guys can do this as well. Obviously, it's going to take a little bit longer for you guys to get in the routine of it, but that's my general routine. So first things first, soft clipper onto the master. Next thing, get everything organized in the mixer. Next thing, get your sub buses sorted out. Get everything running through the drums, running through one bus, the melody running through another, bass and the kick running through another, okay? Add some small adjustments to the actual sounds themselves if you need to. Again, not every sound needs to be adjusted. Once you've done that, then start compressing and adding saturation to, the melody and the drums and the bass separately. Make sure you're doing that separately. And then once you've done that, you're pretty much good to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn all the effects off, and I'm going to play the beat. I'll turn all the effects on, and you guys can see the difference between each of the two, thingamajigs. The two beats. Okay, so let's take a look. And there you have it. That is all I do in my mixes. Again, it's not a lot of stuff. I know there's a few sort of intricate parts there where you need to keep things organized and add in stuff in a certain order, but just follow the steps. Rewind this. I know I've gone through it fairly quickly. I didn't want to just have like a stupidly long tutorial, but follow the steps, get everything organized, get the soft clipper on there, get everything good to go, and your mixes will sound a whole lot better, I promise. Okay, and once you've done that, you can just export it. If you want to export it then and there, go for it. If you want to master it in the same project, go for it. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, that's literally all I do to it. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you do have any questions, because I know I ran through everything fairly quickly, if you do have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments, and I'll do my best to reply to everybody. And yeah, that's all for today, people. Make sure you subscribe if you enjoyed this tutorial. Make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on the next video, and I shall see you guys next time.